at Westport. Steve Potter, KTRS News, the talk of St. Louis.
And now, the Frank and Jill Show. It's Frank Cusimano, Jill Farmer on the Big 550 KTRS, the talk of St. Louis. Powered by STL Medical Weight Loss. See the Dr. Joe difference at stlmedweightloss.com.
Good morning and welcome. This is the Frank and Jill Show on the Big 550 KTRS. Royal Banks of Missouri text line 84126. You can watch us on YouTube and on Facebook. Good program lined up for you today. Anita Mannion from the Pali Side Apartment of the University of Missouri St. Louis is going to join us. We're excited about that. There are so many things going on in the country and around the world. Chris Kerber, the Blues open up the season this week, this Thursday night against the Minnesota Wild. Chris is now the radio and television voice of the St. Louis Blues. He'll join us in the 11 o'clock hour. So if you'd like to be a part of the program, the Royal Banks of Missouri text line 84126. Frank Cusimano with Jill Farmer and Connor McCarthy. All right, the weekend, Jill, it was your celebration weekend. You were eating, enjoying, relaxing, having a great time. Tell me about it.
All of the above. It was an absolutely perfect weekend, not just weather-wise, which, of course, enhanced everything. I hope everybody listening had a chance to go out and enjoy. It was our birthday anniversary weekend, 33 years of marriage, 57th birthday, and it just couldn't have been better. We had a relaxing, incredible kind of aperitivo-style dinner in the neighborhood at Pacini on Friday night, and I had a really fun game of pickle with some dear friends on Saturday morning, and got out and water skied in the afternoon and out to Sydney Street.
Sydney Street for dinner?
Perfect.
Yeah, how good was
Every
that?
morsel. Absolutely perfect.
Do you remember what your entree was?
I did. I got the salmon, and it was just perfection. I can't really describe it. With the veal dumplings and the lobster turnovers for the appetizers. It's
lobster turnovers.
It's on there,
Wow.
generally on their appetizer list, kind of on the chalkboard when you get to the table. And it's a special occasion place for us. We tend to save it for more birthdays and anniversaries. But then every time we go, we're like, why don't we go more often? It's just so darn good.
I don't know anybody who's ever gone there that didn't think it was great.
It's perfect. Yeah, it was really good.
And then so you had the anniversary and the birthday all in the same weekend.
Yep, we do every year. John's birthday is a week before, so it's just heavy credit card bill always in the few weeks after that. But
you go easier on the presents. You just celebrate by going out to eat.
Yeah, and it was just really a fun weekend. Awesome. I love a little outside time, and it's not every year. We're still in the mid 80s and can go out and be on the boat and enjoy it that much as we were able to this weekend as well.
Good. How about you, Connor? Anything interesting in your life?
Didn't do too much. Just kind of hung. I didn't go to Sydney Street or any fabulous restaurants or water skiing. So, but it was good. Still like some time off. So that had a good time.
Good. How about you, Frank? What was your all golf all the time?
A lot of that. I spent more time with babies than any daycare worker, I think. I mean, I was with the three girls all weekend
Can we
long.
fact check that? Any daycare worker, you think?
I'm telling you, it was like, in fact, because we all want Alex to have a third, and then by the end of the night, just 2 hours, I just said, how could they have a third? And Monique said, well, you did. I mean, she says, that's what you get when you're 30. When you're in your 30s, you can do that. Man, I mean, if I heard it once, I heard it 1,000 times. Papa, will you play with me again? I mean, she's got a bounce house downstairs. So we're flying around in that. We're playing basketball. It's crazy. So it was a lot of fun, though. And then we had, I was with KK a little bit yesterday, too. So it worked out great.
And I'm sure she's growing like a weed. She's a couple months old already. Exactly 2 months old, right?
Oh, yeah. I guess she is. Yeah. So had one great meal, Bar Italia. Haven't been there in like ages. What a cool place that is.
Isn't it just really, really special? And the story of those guys who started it, and it's a really good, I think they're Eritrean, which was some point, it was an Italian colony, so to speak. And so the influence was of Italy was strong, but then there's some uniqueness and a little bit of other flavors thrown in there too. It's always been just a kind of a consistent, St. Louis, very consistent, great place to go.
Yeah. And when somebody's picking up the meal, first of all, the food tastes better. And then I also, my policy is if somebody's picked the restaurant, obviously knows the restaurant, and is doing ordering, I always just say, I'll have what he's having.
Okay. And was that a good
Yes.
choice this
time?
time?
Oh, my God. Lobster rav and a veal chop. Holy freaking cow. Yeah, that's good food.
Wow. Wow. Those two came together.
Yeah, well, I don't know if they did. I think he just did it like that. So, nothing but the best. I'll have what he's having.
That's always the polite thing to do, too. I always taught my kids that. Find out if somebody's treating you to dinner, try to get them to order first or find out what they're ordering
Yeah,
first.
because you don't want to order anything more expensive.
Right. If they're getting, a salad and water,
Yeah.
you don't want to order the lobster and veal chop.
Yeah, and then did play a little golf at Belle Reve on Friday, as I name drop. But wow, what a cathedral!
Yeah. I mean, it's almost not even like grass there, I've heard. I don't play much golf,
Yeah.
and I've just seen it from afar, but people have said it's like playing on carpet because so whatever they do to their grass, it's perfection.
I got home after that day of those two things, and Monique said, "Oh, pretty nice day for you there, huh?" It kind of was. So I got to work right away, though. Did the kitchen and all that stuff. So. All right, let's take our first break. And when we come back with the opening dialogue, Anita Mannion and Chris Kerber are our guests.
Hey, it's Heidi, and I've only sold 2 houses, but I know how stressful it can be. I also know the team at Lauren Risley Realty makes the entire process as easy as possible. I watched Lauren work with friends and my parents, and I can say she is top notch. She doesn't just know the market, she knows what to look for in a home, and that includes red flags. And through all of it, she is calm, cool, and kind. So if you're in the market to buy or sell a home, or if you just have a question, call Lauren Risley Realty, 314-775-0684, or go to laurenrisleyrealty.com.
It's the half price sale at Miller Furniture and Mattress going on now through October 14th.
I'm Mark Miller, owner of Miller Furniture, your home for quality American-made furniture since 1927. Right now, save half off our list price on all in-stock items, plus half off custom orders from Flex Steel, Smith Brothers, Amish-made furniture, and more.
And get 12 months financing, no interest, no minimum purchase. See our fully stocked Flex Steel galleries in the area's largest selection of Amish-made furniture, plus up to 75% off the list price on our outdoor furniture.
Sleep better and save big. Right now, get a free adjustable base with the purchase of any Chatham & Wells mattress. Plus, half price on select floor model mattresses from Stearns & Foster, Tempur-Pedic, and Spring Air.
Visit any of our 4 locations in Belleville, Fairview Heights, Lake St. Louis, or Ellisville and save on over $8 million of inventory. You'll see why we were voted the Retailer of the Year by the Home Furnishings Association.
Don't miss the half-price sale at Miller Furniture now through October 14th. At Miller Furniture, we put the family in furniture.
Your biggest choice in home restoration is who do you trust with your home, your most valued asset. Few can match Banner Construction's experience and dedication to excellence. Banner is an elite preferred James Hardy contractor and Pella Window specialist. Restoration is a one-time opportunity to have Banner's design team show you architectural options to make your home the neighborhood showcase. Call for a free consultation, 314-569-1050. And have a Banner Day.
Recently, a good friend of mine was changing the light fixture in their kitchen, and they took the light fixture off the ceiling, and they looked inside the ceiling and said, "What is the phone number to Michael Baldy?" If they would have listened to me, they would have put Michael Baldy's phone number in their phone, because everybody needs a good electrician on speed dial. So here you go. The next time you need an electrician, you need to remember Michael Baldy and Baldy Electric. So the phone number, 314-968-9999. Indoor, outdoor, an old Victorian home, knob and tube wiring, and anything and everything in between. You see, Michael Baldy is a licensed electrician, and he has a team ready to go. Whether it's something for the ceiling in the kitchen, something for the lights for the holidays, whatever it may be, Michael Baldy and Baldy Electric. BaldyElectric.com, 314-968-9999, because everybody needs a good electrician on speed dial. BaldyElectric.com.
It's the Big Sports Show with Sports Director Brendan Lisi. Weeknights 7 to 9 on the Talk of St. Louis, the Big 550, KTRS.
Hi, it's Frank Cusimano inviting you to join me for the Press Box, brought to you by Control Option, Monday through Thursday at 6 p.m. We're going to interview some of the biggest names in sports and have our opening monologue. That's the Press Box, brought to you by Control Option, Monday through Thursday at 6 p.m. right here on the Big 550 KTRS, the Talk of St. Louis.
And now the opening dialogue with Frank and Jill on the Big 550, KTRS. Powered by Worldwide Technology Raceway.
All right, thought one. The founder of Chick-fil-A, S. Truett Cathy, once said, "You know how you can tell if somebody needs to be encouraged? They're breathing." Jim Valvano once said, "My dad gave me the greatest gift you can receive. He believed in me." So we're interviewing Doug Armstrong, the Blues president, and I said, "What jumps out at you about your head coach, Jim Montgomery?" And he said, "The way he is so positive with his players." So life is not that complicated when you think about it. You have to believe the Carl Sandburg line, nothing first starts without a dream, and then you need somebody to help you believe that you can do it. Now, you may be the person with the dream, or you may be the person that can help that person with the dream. But I guess sometimes you have to be realistic, too, in terms of being encouraging. Like if somebody says to me, "Well, you know, would you meet with my child, my daughter, or my son, because this person wants to get into TV sportscasting?" And I say, "Well, what about being a consultant at a Big Four accounting firm instead?" So sometimes you want to be encouraging and positive, but sometimes you should be realistic and tell them, "Nah, it's probably not the right profession to be entering in 2025.
Right. I think, or there's encouraging and positive and believing in somebody and not pretending that something is true that isn't true.
Yes.
Like that there's actually jobs available
Exactly.
in television, local television sports anymore. Very, very good delineation. Speaking of things related to news in our city here, you may have read it in the Post-Dispatch. You may have heard it from other places, including right here on KTRS. But the news is we will no longer be getting, for those of you who still get daily delivery of the newspaper, starting November 3rd, it's not going to be coming to your doorstep. St. Louis Post-Dispatch, several other papers owned by Lee Enterprises, cutting their print editions on Mondays and going to a digital version anyway. Now, I'll be honest, this isn't going to impact me because right now I only get the print edition on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. The rest of the week I read it online, and I've gotten used to it. I'm just fine with that, and sometimes it's more updated to do that. But I'm curious, Frank, you still get print edition every single day. When you don't get it on Mondays, will you bother to sign in and read the digital edition? And that's my question for you guys on the Royal Banks of Missouri text line 84126. If you are a Post-Dispatch subscriber, you get the paper every day, are you going to bother to sign in and actually make sure that you get it read by doing it digitally, or is it just going to be I skip the day, the paper, I'll get my news from other sources that day?
Well, yes, I've been getting it ever since I can remember. The Globe in the morning, the Post-Dispatch in the afternoon. What I usually by 1 o'clock, I'm not referring to my paper. I'm going to my phone and reading it online. But I like the feel of it in the morning, a paper in my hands.
So on Mondays, starting November 3rd, when you won't have that paper in your hands, will you go ahead and get online and check it out? That's no big deal for you because you already are online checking news anyway. You're a little bit of an anomaly, though, because you're somebody who's constantly checking news because that's part of what's required in your job. I'm curious to hear from our listeners. 84126 Royal Banks of Missouri text line. Is this going to impact you, and if so, how?
Yeah, I'd be curious, too, is how many people that are listening to this program actually still get a Post-Dispatch.
Yeah.
Which is probably very low.
Great question.
All right, thought two. The most bizarre story of the weekend has to be the Mark Sanchez episode. He played in the NFL for 10 years. He's a national television commentator with Fox. He's the son of a firefighter. He's dated models and been on the cover of GQ himself. He's 38 years old and seemingly has a pretty good life on the outside. He's in Indianapolis over the weekend to do a game for Fox. He gets into a fight with a 69-year-old that wears hearing aids, who didn't have them in at the time. There are grisly photos of the 69-year-old wearing a neck brace and covered in blood. The 69-year-old was cut in the fight, and it went through his cheek. The man was a truck driver. Sanchez smelled of alcohol, allegedly, and his speech was slurred, according to reports. Keep in mind, Sanchez is 6'2", 230 pounds. He allegedly was the instigator, or that's what the film or the video is showing. He hurled the driver against the wall before throwing him to the ground, allegedly. At that point, the 69-year-old stabbed Sanchez in self-defense. If these alleged reports are true, I don't think Mark Sanchez will be working again. Hitting a woman is the worst thing you can do. Hitting a senior citizen is the second worst thing you can do. It's just unbelievable.
So we talked about a little bit earlier, yeah, this will be an interesting case to see how it all unfolds. But, generally speaking, police don't file charges that quickly unless things are pretty clear cut and they have some pretty clear evidence. And in this case, there seems to be at least some pretty clear video evidence of who instigated and how things escalated. And that's tough.
Yeah, it's the most bizarre thing. I can't wait. Nobody has actually seen the video besides the authorities, I think.
But they said it was listed as evidence for why they justified the prosecutors and the police justified these charges and filed the warrant, I believe.
And I know we are a forgiving society, but I can't picture like Fox saying, "Yeah, we got 6 of these analyst jobs in the NFL. We're going to keep you deserve to keep one of those." I just can't picture that. Can you?
No, and it is interesting, right? Because we assume since he was stabbed initially, I did anyway, that he was some kind of a crime attack, and then you read the varying accounts of it, and it's like, this is a tough. I mean, according to the accounts, the driver who didn't have his hearing aids in could not make out what it was that he was so upset about, and so that was part of that. He kept saying he was just so. He was so afraid because he couldn't understand what this was all about.
Yeah, and did you hear about one of the politicians in Indianapolis tried to make this a thing about, see how unsafe our cities are, and we need more protection and all stuff? No, it's a freaking guy that got drunk allegedly and acted like a nut allegedly.
Yep, that's where we all have to be careful about just throwing everything filtering everything through our perspective of us versus them silo, don't we? Good suggestion. Okay, new science coming out. This is a great one for all the grandparents and parents out there. We got to listen up to this. According to the BBC Science reporters, if we don't want to raise a narcissist for a child or a grandchild, we want them to feel special, but showering them with too much praise can actually do more harm than good, according to a new body of research that's growing all the time, actually multiple sources. So a lot of times we'll say rising rates of narcissism among young people is the boom on social media, or that they're reacting because they weren't loved enough or given enough attention. But now, according to multiple studies in European countries, that the results are clear. Narcissism was predicted by parental over-evaluation, not a lack of warmth, right? For a while, psychiatrists and others were guessing and saying that they thought that it was due to neglect or parents not parenting as much. Now they're saying genuine parental warmth, affection, appreciation, love, that's healthy self-esteem. But when you consistently tell your children they're extraordinary, they're special, and they're exceptional, they are far more likely to become narcissistic. The border seems to be this idea that somehow you're special and what applies to other people doesn't apply to you. That's where things start getting negative. Or not being honest with kids because you're afraid if you tell them the truth about something. We're not talking about being hypercritical, but saying, it's okay that you didn't make the team or that you didn't win the game, for instance, if we're using a sports paradigm, instead of it was the ref's fault. The coach didn't do the job right. That kind of stuff starts to build up. It happens in other aspects of life too, blaming teachers as opposed to students consistently. Those messages apparently contribute to the buildup in the child's psyche that they are always going to be in the right. And when others challenge them or they face hardships, that it's somebody else's fault as opposed to their own. That's one of the bellwethers, or that's one of the markers of narcissism. That's the least fun to be around if you've ever been around any narcissistic people.
So when Zoe attempted 10 shots on her little Tykes basketball and she only made 2 of them, I probably shouldn't have said, "Boy, that's great, Zoe."
You can say you can feel proud of yourself, and if you keep practicing, you'll keep making more of them. That's positive, not "you're the best I've ever seen, you're amazing."
Well, I was guilty. I told her she was the best. All right. It's good, though, because how many parents are guilty of taking the kid's side, against the teacher? Now, I guess there are examples of when teachers are bad, but in general, taking that side's a bad idea.
John and I are both raised by school teachers, and so we never had the benefit of the doubt when it came to the teachers. Whatever the teacher said, if they said whatever they said went, and we were always in trouble. If the teacher said that we had done something wrong, there was never going to be mom or dad at home going, "Wow, it's that terrible teacher's fault." No, it was always going to be ours, and I don't think that's such a bad thing.
All right, thought three, some quickies. Lefty's Bagels are a cut above anything I've ever had in St. Louis. It's in that strip mall before Paul Mano's is the one that Monique picked them up, and they are just insane. My new favorite coach in the NFL is Sean Payton of the Broncos, who's been a really good friend to Kelly Chase, by the way, during Kelly's battle with cancer and leukemia. He went for a 2-point conversion when he could have just tied the game against the Super Bowl champion Eagles. It was so gutsy. I don't think I would have done it, but man, he's got guts. And he got the 2-point conversion and won the game, the biggest victory the Broncos have had in a long time. Naked Gun with Leslie. I'm not with Leslie Nielsen.
That would be something, wouldn't it?
That was a good one. The new one just stinks. I tried to watch like 45 minutes of it. I didn't like it at all. I don't know. Finally, there's a hole at Norwood. It's called the 9th hole, and you must put the ball past the stick because it dramatically goes down. If you don't, the ball will roll off the green. So Brooke and I tied on 9 on Saturday. I told her right before she hit the shot, I hope your ball rolls down the hill. Of course, she hit it underneath the stick, and it rolled down the hill, and I just smiled at her. Then I was in the exact same spot. I hit it exactly where she hit it, and it rolled down the hill, and she won the match by 1. So never root against your opponent in golf. It always goes back to bite you.
Hey, I did, real quickly, speaking of golf, I happened to have run into 2 people over the weekend. One was a high school friend who, and her husband who went to the Ryder Cup because of his corporate job, and then a St. Louisan whose wife gave him the trip to the Ryder Cup, he and his brother, for their 30th wedding anniversary. It's what he wanted. It's funny. They both said they were away from the big grandstand crowds, and they saw nothing of the craziness that we all were watching from home, because they said they just had no idea until they started getting texts.
They were there, and they didn't know.
Didn't know until they were getting texts from people at home saying, you know, what in the heck is going on? What's happening? And so they said, but they both said it was kind of fun and interesting, but because of the way the match play is set up compared to other golf tournaments where you get to see the players or 2 groups of players at every hole, it's not the world's best spectator sport in a lot of ways. And so they can kind of see why, if people were drinking too much and trying to make it more exciting than they wanted it to be, that's probably where some of the misbehavior popped up. So
good insight there.
Yeah. Anyway, it was coincidental, since I knew very little about the Ryder Cup, that I actually ran into 2 people who had been to it as well. St. Louis has plenty of historic homes, of course. One of them, many of you have, if you're an HGTV fan, you already know this, but the newest and one of the most popular shows on HGTV is featuring a St. Louis home, the Bissell Mansion, built back in 1823. Makes it one of our city's oldest brick houses. And by the way, we got a lot of old brick houses in town. It's a finalist on HGTV's Scariest House in America. Place has it all: crumbling walls, a cave beneath it, and a reputation for ghosts that goes way back. It's known for some chilling tales, a recorded history of deaths, including at least 10. People have reported seeing Captain Bissell sightings, the ghostly sightings of him, for a very long time. And it includes a bricked-up entrance to a cave that was once used by Captain Bissell as an escape route. I wonder what he was doing in his life that he needed to escape. That's an answer I can't give you. I could not find that answer this morning in my research. The show's judges gave the house high marks in categories such as fright factor and unlivability. The owners, St. Louisans, the Wheelers, hoping to win $150,000 prize to help restore the mansion and restore its history. So kind of fun.
Yeah, that is neat.
I mean, I'm not too thrown off by spooky histories of homes, since I live in a house that was once a taxidermy studio. So I can't really,
Really?
stuff like that. Yeah, our house was
Not directly. You didn't. It wasn't right before you bought it.
No, it was. Well,
You
yeah,
turned it
pretty
into
close though. It was the Schwartz Taxidermy Studio from the early 1900s. The St. Louis Zoological Society was founded there in 1904, I think, by some people who were some big naturalists in St. Louis, including Augustus Busch and Dana Brown from Safari Coffee. Apparently they met at Schwartz Taxidermy Studio and said, I think we need a zoo here. They were going off and hunting and bringing back their zebras and things they were killing in other countries, and thought we'd actually have a zoo in town. And it was that until about nearly the year 2000, I believe, when Schwartz Taxidermy Studio changed ownership, moved to a different location, and then it was converted into a single-family home. And we moved in there in 2018.
Schwartz was the one in St. Louis.
I think
that was the best. My brother
it's
used
still
to
a
do-
lot. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, for hunters and others, I think it still has a great reputation. But yeah, that's where we live.
Alrighty.
Speaking of great news, interesting things going on, and your home, Miller Furniture, you guys, you have exactly 8 more days now. So make sure you mark your calendar for this incredible half-off sale. 50% off all in-stock Amish. That's great news, but this is the best news of all. 50% off custom Amish orders. You can look at the incredibly beautifully made furniture on their website, millerfurniture.com, MUELLER furniture.com, and just look at the beautiful styles. Many of them very traditional, but they have some stuff that looks more modern too, or in the popular mid-century modern style. A lot of things to choose from as well. Incredible sales at the Fairview Heights location, which is the largest in the entire St. Louis area. Selection of mattresses as well. Some really good deals on mattresses, from their more budget-friendly ones to their very highest end as well. It's a great time to take advantage of the low prices in this sale, again, going on until the 14th. You can go online, MUELLER furniture.com, to begin your shopping, but visit one of their 4 locations: Fairview Heights, Lake St. Louis at the Meadows, Ellisville off Manchester Road, and of course the flagship in Belleville, Illinois.
And now, KTRS weather.
One more day with highs in the 80s, and then it will actually feel like October for the rest of the week. Got a cold front coming in overnight tonight into early on Tuesday morning. So mostly sunny ahead of that front this morning. No chance of rain early in the day, but clouds increase this afternoon. About a 30% chance of rain, maybe a rumble of thunder around St. Louis. Higher chances mist to the south and southeast. Low rain chances continued tonight into tomorrow morning, as well as the cold front moves in down to 65 for the low. And yeah, tomorrow a big shot of cooler air, a high of only 73, and it looks like highs in the 70s will stick for the rest of the week. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers on the Big 550 KTRS.
I'm Farmer Dave, and here's my good friend and owner of MasterCars Inc., Alex Rosenberger, with today's hot MasterCars Inc. deals.
Hey, thanks, Farmer Dave. This is our favorite motoring season. Great top-down weather or getting the bike out. The temps are perfect. Of course, we can fix you up with one if you're in need. Attractive financing options available with no payments until 2026. Keep that in mind. Now, if you have one and don't need it, we can help there too. We're always looking for super clean, low-mile, pristine Corvettes, muscle cars, classic cars, luxury cars, you name it. Motorcycles too, especially Ducatis and Harleys. We'll even buy entire collections. Hop on our site, submit what you've got, and we'll get you an offer. Easy as that.
So rev that motor and point your car in the direction of MasterCars Inc. and buy or sell today. 4100 Namioki Road in Granite City, or visit MasterCarsInc.com to get more details. That's MasterCarsInc.com.
Some of my fondest memories as a kid is heading down to the hardware store. You had to pick up a couple of nails, a couple of screws, maybe a gallon of paint, whatever it may be, right? It was your friendly neighborhood hardware store. Well, those don't exist anymore in St. Louis, except for Schnarr's Hardware. They have 2 locations in Webster Groves and in Clayton Road in Ladue. Schnarr's Hardware is that place where you go in and you can get that bucket of paint, you can get a couple of screws. The advice is always free. And the one thing about Schnarr's Hardware that every single family hardware store used to have, and that is the smell. It smells like a hardware store. It's got the selection. I don't know how they do it. It's a small store, but they got everything you ever need. They got the paint. They got paint matching. They've got big green eggs. They've got screws and nails and everything a hardware store should have. Schnarr's Hardware, 2 locations, 1 great hardware store. Schnarr's Hardware, we'll see you there.
Heidi Klaus, Josh Gilbert, and Bob Ramsey.
Weekday afternoons at 3.
On the Big 550.
Always quiet and always on.
KTRS. Royal Banks of Missouri and Cantor Injury Law are proud to sponsor this Saturday's big game. Your undefeated Mizzou Tigers welcomes the Alabama Crimson Tide to Burrow Field in Columbia. Kickoff at 11, pregame at 9.
Two tacklers to the house in Missouri.
Don't miss all the action live here on the Big 550. KTRS has full coverage all week on the Big Sports Show with KTRS Sports Director Brendan Lisi and the Press Box with Frank Cusimano.
Missouri delivers a counter punch on the fake punt.
This is why the Big 550 is live, local, and the home for everything Mizzou. Proudly powered by Royal Banks of Missouri and Cantor Injury Law. Let's go Mizzou.
Altair Travel and Cruises is proud to sponsor KTRS Pink in support of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and they're partnering with one of their preferred suppliers, Alma Waterways. River cruising is a hot way to travel right now, and Altair and Alma Waterways are offering $100 off any new Alma Waterways river cruise bookings made through Altair October 1st through the 31st. Call Altair today to book your next river cruise at 314-968-9600 or online at altairtravel.com.
Welcome back, Frank and Jill Show on a Monday morning. Very glad you are with us. Jill Farmer, Frank Cusimano, along with Connor McCarthy as well, and our political analyst who we love talking to and getting her perspective. She is UMSL political science professor and political analyst Anita Mannion. Thanks so much for being with us today. How are you doing today, Anita?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
So government shutdown, of course, two questions I have for you. The first one I want to start with is, if you had a crystal ball, do you think we know which side is going to be the one that might be willing to compromise here? And if so, or if not, what are we looking at in terms of the length of this thing?
Yeah, that's a really good question. In the past, it's been very rare that we have a shutdown that lasts more than one business day, and we're already past that point. That's only happened about 4 times. So we're already past that point, and it seems like both sides are pretty dug in. But we know the longer it goes on, the longer people feel the impact, the bigger the impact to our GDP. So I think we're all hoping it can get resolved a little more quickly. But that question about who's going to cave, I think that's a good one, and I think we're all watching to see that. Ideally, they would be able to come to a solution where sort of both sides can save face.
Well, it's interesting, Anita, because we know it's eventually going to end, but I'm wondering, who do you think is going to end up winning out of all of this? Who will the public side with, or who will the public blame, Democrats or Republicans?
So far, the polling seems to indicate that more blame is going to the Republicans, and that's probably because, this idea they hold the presidency and the majority in both chambers of Congress, so sort of the idea of the buck stops there. But what I'm always interested in is, we know that Democrats are going to blame Republicans, Republicans are going to blame Democrats. So I try to dig in and look and see what the independents are saying. And a couple different polls have them blaming Republicans by about 20 to 30 points more than they're blaming Democrats so far. That could change.
Interesting. So one of the things that I saw on some of the talk shows over the weekend is this idea that we're sort of in new territory when it comes to presidential powers, and that sort of presidential powers taking what some people see as punitive action, what other people say is necessary action against red or against blue states. For instance, like the Office of Management and Budget targeting Democratic priorities and projects in certain states, like those where in New York, where Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries are, as well as targeting, of course, blue cities for or cities that have Democratic leadership, for the National Guard coming in. Is this something new, or historically have presidents always exercised that power in states where they had less support?
No, that's absolutely new. Like so many things under the first and second Trump administration, it is sort of unprecedented, as well as putting messages on government agency websites blaming the Democrats. That's also something we haven't seen in the past. And so I think that, from President Trump's standpoint, these are points of leverage, A, to accomplish things that he wants done, but B, to put pain on the Democrats. The Democrats want these government agencies in place and doing their jobs. And so it's a way that he can sort of try to put that pressure on them to cave. And so it is very unusual. And I think if those cuts, if they start trying to put those cuts in place, there will be challenges because ultimately Congress does have the power of the purse. And so we've seen some other cuts that President Trump has made sort of autonomously being challenged in court. And I think we would see these being challenged in court as well.
Anita Mannion is with us on the Frank and Jill Show on the Big 550 KTRS. Okay, so Trump is going after cities like Portland and Chicago, and I know the data and the polling stuff is unfolding as we speak. Many are against it, but in the end, what about that independent group? Is he going to end up winning the battle of public opinion here, or no?
You know, that's a good question. I think so far when it comes to sending troops to cities, we do see that the American public is not in support of that, has concerns about that. Certainly, I think two areas where Donald Trump has more support are in crime and immigration. And so he's trying to craft his messaging around those when it comes to sort of what Democrats are calling invasion of cities. And so, but you do see him pulling out quickly, and you've seen some lawsuits going against those efforts. So, so far, I don't think that those are very popular with the American public, although I wouldn't say that they'll necessarily have a big impact on the midterm elections unless something escalates between now and then.
The one commentator I heard over the weekend said one of the things that President Trump is doing extremely well is doing generally what his base wants him to do, and he seems less concerned this time around with trying to please the entire country and more focused on deepening the support by his base. Is that too overreaching of a statement, or do you seem like is that what the tactic or strategy has been?
I think that's true. I think that we see that in a number of ways, that this second Trump administration, we've seen sort of that Elon Musk, move fast and break things ethos coming into play. And so one person who is helping President Trump with that more so than Elon Musk did is Russell Vought. And he's the director of the Office of Management and Budget that you referred to earlier. And he really spent those 4 years out of office in kind of getting these plans in place, so how they could enact priorities of President Trump quickly and broadly. And, often a president's party loses seats in Congress in the midterm, so they're really trying to take this quick action. But when it comes to both the, sending troops into cities and the shutdown, so much of it is messaging. And so I think it's interesting to see how each party is doing that right now.
How will the Democrats respond if this ceasefire hostage deal with the ending of the Gaza war actually happens?
Yeah, that would be a big victory for President Trump. And so I think, if both parties come to the table and agree to it, the Democrats most likely have to support, that ending to that conflict. I think that most people, I'd like to think all people, would like conflict to end. So, that would be a real victory for President Trump.
One of the things that President Trump has mostly been able to enjoy is a pretty uniform support among congressional leaders and other politicians, even mayors and everybody, because they have seen what happens when they don't fall in line with his support in many ways. Josh Hawley, however, has been rather outspoken just in the last week. He called federal tornado response from FEMA in St. Louis a mess. He has talked about the fact that he thinks it would potentially be an outrage for health insurance premiums to double in Missouri in light of the Medicaid, and said they were going to fix it later, and is actually calling on people to make some of those changes. Can you talk a little about the political tightrope he seems to be walking here?
Yeah, I think that, Josh Hawley has his conservative credentials out there. There's no doubt. It seems to me that he is positioning himself for a 2028 run. And part of that is his populist message. So I think in the areas where he kind of veers from President Trump or some sort of traditional conservative ethos, like the working with Cori Bush and others to get funding for people who have suffered from, toxic government materials and other things, for fighting for Medicaid and FEMA support. Really, I think it's part of that populist messaging and does have broad appeal. So I think that it's hopefully, something he believes in, but also probably pretty smart politically.
Let's do it local now. What about Sam Page, the federal charges against him, and how do you think his chances look as we speak?
Well, we'll have to see how that goes. But so far, this is an unusual lawsuit, and he's pled not guilty. We'll have to see, what the courts think about this. But the idea is, that he is claiming is that this mailer wasn't about a political, position. He was just trying to educate voters about this issue. Of course, the flip side, the Attorney General says, no, he's misusing public funds, and this is a campaign mailer. So we'll have to see how the court weighs in on that. But I definitely think, Sam Page has been very beleaguered by a number of challenges like this, questions about if he should be working while he's holding office, and more importantly, conflicts with the county council. So I think all that makes an uphill battle if he wants to seek re-election.
And how would you characterize Brian Williams' campaign so far?
I think that he's done a good job in messaging. The interviews I've heard with him, he hasn't been, criticizing Sam Page necessarily in any kind of a aggressive way, but more talking about his vision and how he's successfully communicated and collaborated with others. And I think that's a positive message that would probably resonate with voters.
One quick final question from our Royal Banks of Missouri text line for you, Anita Mannion, political science professor from UMSL. Is Doge still active, or did they disappear along with Elon Musk? Do you know that?
Yeah, that's a good question. So Doge itself, still exists as a department, so it hasn't been eliminated. But a lot of those employees were kind of brought on board under processes that only allowed them to operate for like 6 or 100 and something days.
Okay.
And so that's part of it. The other is sort of when Elon Musk and President Trump had their falling out, that's when you really saw Rust Vote and the Office of Management Budget coming to the forefront. And in some ways, they are more effective and efficient than Doge was at eliminating government jobs and increasing the president's power, because where Elon Musk is sort of hasty and makes big pronouncements in these things, Russ Vought studies processes and how to do this and has been doing this planning for 4 years. So in some ways, it's a more effective tactic.
Anita, good stuff as usual. Thanks so much. We'll talk soon.
It's great talking with you.
All right, Anita Mannion from the University of Missouri in St. Louis.
It's one of those things that we a lot of times forget about. We don't have it in our Rolodex. I know I'm aging myself by even calling it a Rolodex, but in our list of people that we use as our regular repair people, or the companies that we call to do that regular service, and that is an exterior company, right? We call them after the storm has hit. TB Exteriors wants you to understand how much they care about their customers, how long they've been in this business for decades, and they have an excellent record of being able to be that person that can help you work with your insurance company, because that's one of the things that, we hear over and over and over again after that May 16th tornado, is so many people are saying they're just at the point where they are at an impasse with their insurance companies, giving them, not providing the coverage that they know they are due, and feeling a little bit lost in the process. TB Exteriors loves taking care of customers and loves making sure that you love your home. And that's why they are the people to go to when you have that storm damage, when the age of your house means that that tiny little leak has become a real issue and could be causing further damage that impacts your ability to hold on to your home's value. Roofing, gutter, siding, window services, all available by TB Exteriors, but you need to write down their name and number now. So in case you need them, they're there. Or if you've been, as our temperatures start to get a little bit cooler and you want to throw those windows open and you're realizing it takes a 3-person job and one of them needs to be a pro wrestler to be able to get those windows open, do yourself a favor, get a more efficient window and one that you can use to open and close more easily by reaching out to our friends at TB Exteriors. TBExteriorsMo.com, 636-362-9503.
It's Julie Buck here to tell you that the patio is open at Bishop's Post right next to Chesterfield Mall. Get your reservations in now and go to Bishop's Post. You will love it. Tell them Julie Buck sent you, bishopspost.com.
So here's the deal. If you're driving around and you've got some dings and dents and you start to notice them now a little bit more because the sun is out and you're driving, wait a minute, hold on, I didn't see that before. Guess what? You need to get to Dents Express. They've got 2 locations on Manchester, in Baldwin, and in St. Charles. Whether it's dent removal, hail damage, minor collision, they'll work with your insurance company, handle all the paperwork, and then when it's ready, they'll come call you and you can come pick up the car for 30-plus years. Dents Express. STL.com.
Hi, I'm Mike Robinson with Robank Properties, and I want your fixer-upper home. It's crazy to spend a ton of money fixing it up when I will pay you top dollar right now. I don't even care what condition it's in. Your trash is my treasure. No inspections, no contingencies, just cold, hard cash. Call me, Mike Robinson, at 314-283-0867. That's Mike Robinson, 314-283-0867, or at robangproperties.com.
Truck drivers, don't miss out on the unmatched consistency of a Schneider driving job. At Schneider, you can find a driving position that fits your lifestyle and goals, all while getting the pay you deserve. Plus, Schneider drivers operate state-of-the-art, well-maintained equipment and have access to award-winning benefits and a 24/7 support team. Explore Schneider's huge selection of driving jobs today and find your perfect fit at SchneiderJobs.com. That's SchneiderJobs.com.
This is Mariah, 3rd generation at Newsteaders Fine Jewelry. Buying an engagement ring can be intimidating. At Newsteaders, we ensure complete understanding of your purchase. We offer a choice in both lab and mine-grown diamonds and are able to work with any budget. Let our family help educate you on your choice at Big Ben and Doherty Ferry or at WowDiamonds.com.
Andy from Hats and Stuff. Well, 30 years ago this month, I started Hats and Stuff in the Del Mar Loop, and sadly, it's time to announce that I'm retiring at the end of this year and closing the Westport Plaza location. I do intend to continue operating at the Soulard Farmers Market on Saturdays going forward. I want to thank all of my thousands of customers who have supported Hats and Stuff in making it a very successful business venture for me and the many people who have worked for me over the past 30 years. We couldn't have done it without you. So, we're going to kick off the retirement sale by making all the St. Louis City SC ball caps, beanies, scarves, and more just $10 while they last, as well as all St. Louis Cardinal t-shirts, just $10. So come by the store and take advantage of these great deals. Located at Westport Plaza across from the Drunken Fish and the Kobe Steakhouse and the Soulard Farmers Market on Saturdays. Hats and Stuff. Good stuff at really great prices.
Hats and Stuff. 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 The Big 550 has been live and local for 29 years, covering local news and keeping you informed with national and world news from ABC News.
Now, our local news coverage is even more extensive,
as KTRS now carries the First Alert 4 10 p.m. newscast, Monday through Friday. Join the names you know and trust.
This is First Alert 4 at 10. I'm Corey Stark.
I'm Samantha Jones.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton with a First Alert update on what's happening.
And sports from the Sports on 4 team. Just one more reason why KTRS is live, local, and your hometown locally owned station. The Big 550 and First Alert 4 depend on it.
The Bommarito Automotive Group is Missouri's #1 automotive group. They've sold over 1 million vehicles by giving you a better price, a better selection, and more for your trade. You can shop them online, see their entire inventory at bommarito.com.
Top of the show today, we asked what your feedback was or what your thoughts are. Post-Dispatch reporting that starting on November 3rd, you will no longer get the print edition of the paper at your home. They're just not going to be printing a Monday edition any longer. Lots of varied responses here, Frank. But several people, I think overwhelmingly, said they, even those who, most of who did reply do get the paper, said they will not read on Mondays. The news on the computer, they'll just skip those days. They don't read on the computer now, and they don't plan to start. This one was an interesting one. My mom's 98 years old, reads the Post every day, and then does her word jumble to keep her brain sharp. This will damper her daily routine, and I'm sad to see that. Yeah, I think a lot of people will miss having that paper in their hands.
I got a text from a good friend, Jeff Drew. I receive 3 papers daily and love the feel of it, but now Wall Street Journal is numero uno. He also gets USA Today. It is amazing that you can get that paper in St. Louis like like everybody else in the country.
And somebody said that they had stopped reading that they'd stopped their subscription a while ago because it's too expensive, and so they just hadn't gotten in the habit of looking at it online. I'm reading and then from the 314, I'm reading a hard copy of the Post now. Been reading it this way for 60 years. I have looked up the paper online. I just don't like their website. Somebody else saying I've had to get online for a while because they just don't keep it updated. The print edition is not updated enough, and the news is too old by the time I get it. So, yeah, interesting stuff.
All right. Royal Banks of Missouri text line is 84126. If you'd like to be a part of the program, you can watch us on YouTube and on Facebook. Also, coming up in the 11 o'clock hour, we're going to be joined by Chris Kerber, the radio and TV voice of the St. Louis Blues, as we get ready for opening night in St. Louis Thursday at Enterprise.
When I ask my friends at Woods Basement Systems what's their favorite thing they like hearing from clients, or what's a word they like to describe them, integrity is the one that comes up a lot. They say they hear it from people all the time, customers who are happy and who are recommending other customers to use them as well. And it's one of the things that they use as their bedrock. What they want to make sure is part of every single customer interaction, every single time they go out and give a bid, every time they are hired by somebody to work on foundation repair or waterproofing or any of the other things that they do to make your home a better place to live. Integrity. And isn't that what we all want in our companies? Somebody who cares not just about keeping their employees employed or cares about making the next sale, but cares about doing everything they do as it's plugged into or steeped in integrity. That's the kind of thing that I think all of us look for in a company. And it's one of the things that in my experience of being associated as a customer and then somebody who has been telling people about Woods for a very long time, my favorite thing about them is they are integrity. They are synonymous with that word. Give them a call today. We've had a very dry spell here, which means some of us have just get blissfully ignorant and pretend that we don't have issues with basement waterproofing. It's actually the best time to call them, to have them come out, take a look at what's really happening in your house and begin the process before you have more water damage when we invariably will get dumped on sometime soon. 618-708-4055, woodsbasementsystems.com.
Hi, this is Stuart Rosenblum, president of Stewart's American Mortgage.
Stewie!
Mortgages are the biggest investment that a person's going to make in their life, yet most people don't know anything about it. Tune in for Mortgages and More with Stewie. That's me, where we can go over all the different types of mortgage programs in simple terms. You, me,
Stewie!
You'll become an expert after the first show.
Listen to Mortgages and More with Stewie, Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. on KTRS.
Stop feeling embarrassed about thinning hair and start looking and feeling your best with Hair Grow by New Nordic. Available online at Amazon, Walmart.com, and NewNordicUSA.com, or at your local CVS.
Scott, can you believe it's already been more than a decade since the Queen of Carpets sold flooring to St. Louis area contractors?
I know, but I don't have to be a king to offer contractors today's lowest prices.
Yes, contractors owe it to their customers and themselves to shop at Best Buy Flooring for the largest in-stock selection of carpet, carpet tile, sheet vinyl, laminate, hardwood, luxury vinyl plank, and luxury vinyl tile.
Plus 3 convenient locations, North County, South County, and Metro East.
Open 7 days a week.
Best flooring, best selection, Best Buy. Best Buy Flooring.
This is the Big 550 KTRS St. Louis, Ladue, Glen Carbon, University City, Edwardsville, Manchester, Wood River, Grafton, and the world.
Streaming live at KTRS.com.
Depend on it.
From ABC News, I'm Brian Clark. The governor of Illinois and the mayor of Chicago have filed a lawsuit that seeks to block the Trump administration from deploying National Guard troops to Chicago. Mayor Brandon Johnson said,
"We will use every single tool that is available to us to protect the dignity and the sanctity of our humanity. And that I'm calling on this president to leave us the freak alone."
He announced he's setting up an ICE-free zone in the city as he condemned ongoing immigration enforcement in Chicago. Over the weekend, a federal judge temporarily blocked the White House efforts to send National Guard troops to Portland, Oregon. That judge went further in a Sunday hearing. ABC's Trevor Alt has more from Portland.
Judge Karen Immerget, a Trump appointee, issued a new, broader order prohibiting the administration from using federal control to send any state's National Guard into Oregon. and pressing the government's attorney, saying, quote, "You are an officer of the court. Do you believe that this is an appropriate way to deal with my order?"
These issues could end up at the U.S. Supreme Court, which opens its term today, and rejected an appeal from Ghislaine Maxwell to throw out her sex trafficking conviction related to her ties to Jeffrey Epstein. It's the second week of the government shutdown. The Senate returns this afternoon, but House Speaker Mike Johnson says,
"We passed our bill. We did the job to keep the government open, and now it's on the Senate Democrats."
Democrats want to reverse Medicaid cuts. Indirect talks between Israel and Hamas getting underway today in Egypt amid hopes for a deal that would release all hostages and stop fighting in Gaza. And Fox Sports analyst Mark Sanchez now facing a felony charge in connection with the Saturday morning altercation in Indianapolis that led to the former NFL quarterback getting stabbed. Sanchez waived his right to an initial hearing tomorrow, the next conference set for November. You're listening to ABC News.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Hey, it's Heidi Glaus, and I want to remind you to tune in to the Heidi Glaus Show with Bob Ramsey and Josh Gilbert weekdays from 3 to 6. You don't want to miss all the fun. Plus, twice a month, we're joined by Dr. Ravi Johar, the Chief Medical Officer for United Healthcare. Dr. Johar, United Healthcare, will keep us informed and educated about everything happening in the healthcare system, plus important facts to keep us healthy. United Healthcare and the Heidi Glaus Show on the Big 550 KTRS.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. Ever wonder why Big Wireless wants you on an unlimited plan? They probably want you to cover the cost of those 20-somethings using all that data every month. But most people 50 and up like me only use 12 gigs or less. Don't get bamboozled by Big Wireless. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Our plans start at just $20, and we use the same towers as the big guys. Join the millions who choose something better, because if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/fax or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
79 degrees at 11:03 with KTRS News. I'm Steve Potter. The Supreme Court has refused to revive a controversial Missouri gun law that bans police from enforcing some federal firearm laws. The High Court today rejected a push to hear arguments over whether the state can block police from enforcing federal gun laws that don't have an equivalent state law. The measure imposes $50,000 fines for officers who knowingly enforce those federal laws, which include possession of firearms by some domestic violence offenders and weapons registration and tracking. Refusing a breathalyzer is no longer an option in St. Louis County.
St. Louis County is making changes to its policy on drunk and impaired driving. St. Louis County Prosecuting Attorney Melissa Price Smith announced the county will now be a no-refusal county. This in an effort to increase public safety. That means prosecutors will seek a warrant for anyone suspected of driving under the influence who refuses a breath or a blood test. Jill Enders, KTRS News.
A conservative nonprofit group is asking the Department of Justice to investigate Washington University's medical school. American First Legal accuses the school of engaging in systematic discrimination based on race, sex, and national origin through DEI initiatives. The Office of the Illinois State Fire Marshal, local fire departments, and other organizations across the state are teaming up with the National Fire Protection Association to promote Fire Prevention Week. This year's theme, Charge into Fire Safety, highlights how important it is to buy, charge, and recycle batteries safely. And meanwhile, the City of St. Louis is offering some fall home safety tips. They say now is the time to check smoke detectors, fire extinguishers, and first aid kits in your home. Inspections should also be done on your home heating system. They also recommend that this time of year you should clean chimneys and fireplaces and have an annual roof inspection. U.S. Congressman Wesley Bell is proposing a stamp to honor William Lacey Clay Sr.
U.S. Representative Wesley Bell is proposing a U.S. postage stamp to honor the late former U.S. Representative William Lacey Clay Sr. Bell formally proposed the stamp in a House bill introduced this week. Clay served in Congress for 3 decades, representing Missouri's 1st congressional district, the St. Louis area district Bell now serves. Clay became the first African American to be elected to Congress from Missouri in November of 1968 and was a founding member of the Congressional Black Caucus. Clay, who died on July 16, 2025, retired in 2001. He was succeeded by his son, former U.S. Representative William Lacey Clay Jr., who served for 2 decades. Sobe Bay, KTRS News.
This KTRS Business Minute brought to you by Walter & Old Florist, the place for all your floral needs. Place your order anytime at WKF.com. KFC is bringing back its popular sauce from the 1990s. Today, KFC's original honey barbecue sauce will officially return to stores. They say the return was highly requested by fans on social media. And now a look at the markets brought to you by JBL Financial. Tune into Straight Talk on Retirement Saturday mornings. It will be earlier this Saturday from 7 until 9 a.m. The Dow is down 94 points at 46,663. NASDAQ up 168 at 22,949. And the S&P 500 up 27 at 6,742. In sports, Mizzou football was idle this weekend, but still managed to move up 5 spots to number 14 in the latest Associated Press poll. The Tigers will take on number 8, Alabama, on Saturday, starting at 9 a.m., and you can hear it right here on the Big 550. We have a 30% chance for rain today. That's mainly after 5 p.m., an afternoon high near 84, an overnight low in the mid-60s. Cooler tomorrow, a slight chance for rain and a high of around 76. At 7 minutes past 11 o'clock, sunshine, 79 degrees at the Gold Tower at Westport. Steve Potter, KTRS News, the talk of St. Louis.
Welcome back to the Frank and Jill Show on the Big 550 KTRS. It is Blues Week in St. Louis. The Blues about to begin their season on Thursday night at Enterprise against the Minnesota Wild. And joining us now is the radio and now television voice of the St. Louis Blues, Chris Kerber. Excitement level for you, Chris. I know you're pumped up about every opening night, but I'm wondering, this is like the best I've felt about the club maybe since 2020, the year after the Stanley Cup, heading into a season. How about yourself?
Rick, I'd have to agree with that. As a matter of fact, I was asked earlier today kind of a question about this, and honestly, I go back to like the early 2000s where you had Kachuk and Pronger and Doug Waite and Scott Mellenby and Al McInnes and Pavel Dimitrov, those guys. I honestly think that the expectation and excitement level for those teams, that's what I'm feeling now. And I think Ken Hitchcock brought some of that back in the middle of it, obviously. And then, as you mentioned, that 1920 season is just a big one because, the Blues are anticipating a possible repeat until COVID hit. So I agree with you. With just the level of anticipation for this season based on the ending of last season is as high as I've ever seen it.
Wow. Hey, Chris, Jill Farmer here. Thanks for joining us this morning. Question for you. Did you have to go out and get a whole new wardrobe, number one? And number two, did Frank Cusimano consult on any of those new purchases?
See, you're not supposed to play that kind of inside pool, are you?
I didn't say a word.
No, I'm sure you didn't. Actually, he did. He was great. I've actually relied on a lot of people to say, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And listen, for those that know me, they know that when it comes to fashion, it's probably been a good thing that I've been on radio for the last, 25 years, right? So it's just not something like I've never been good at. I look at somebody that puts like a coat with a tie and a shirt, I'm like, man, that looks awesome. And I go, I don't know how they do it. Like, I mean, my wife, Christy, we met. She sold me a suit. That's how we met. She was working at Jay Riggins when I was in the minors, and I went in to buy a suit, and I just said, I need a suit. I go, I like that brown one. And so she did. I go, I need a shirt and a tie. Here are the colors, and I don't know, like, how to put them together. So she did. That's literally how the two of us met. So, yes, he did. He's helped. I went over to Sam Cavuto's. We got some nice stuff to get the season kicked off, right? So I'm looking forward to it, actually. And I'm listening, guys. Listen, like, so many people have asked me the question, like, well, how are you going to do? Is it going to be that different? No, I can call a game. That part's not going to be all that different. But I can tell you the relief that I felt when our bosses at FanDuel said, hey, look, we're going to do ties on opening night. But then after that, it's just sports coat and dress shirts, no ties. I was like, you could have taken the weight of the world off me at that point when I didn't have to worry about matching ties.
What about the nuts and bolts? Because obviously, I mean, if people are not familiar with it, if you're doing radio, you have to be a little bit more descriptive than you're doing TV. How do you balance that because you're doing both at the same time?
I've thought a lot about this, Frank, obviously, and for obvious reasons, it's probably been the number one question that I've been asked. I just don't think it's going to be a little different. Yeah, I'm going to take the advice of guys like Joe Buck and others that I've talked to over the years. That when they describe it, you got to describe it maybe just a tad differently. And over the course of the 6 preseason games we had, I've kind of worked on that, and I think I've found a rhythm. But the reality of it is like, have you ever watched a sporting event? I mean, seriously, have you ever watched a sporting event, whether it be a baseball, football, hockey, basketball game, whatever it is, right? And said, well, the play-by-play guy is just too descriptive for TV. I just don't. That doesn't happen, right?
Yeah.
Because when the moment itself calls for it, right? Let's say the final 5 minutes of a game or overtime. That's when the play-by-play guy, if they're good, can really enhance the moment for the fans and bring them in closer, right? So I think it's a bigger question that fans are asking that I don't think is really that big of an issue, because I truly believe that the moments of the game are going to dictate really what's necessary there, if that makes any sense to you. So, and I also believe this. The other reality is, of all the sports on television, I still believe hockey is the one that benefits more by a more traditional play-by-play call than any other sport, because of the speed of the game, the pucks along the near wing. Sometimes it's hard to see the numbers on the jersey because it is the fastest game outside of auto racing, of course, that's on television, right? So to me, I think in this case, I just don't see that being that much of a factor for those reasons. I mean, it could be. I don't know how you think. I mean, you've done enough sports and you've done them on TV too, Frank. I don't know where you're at on that, but
no,
I kind of feel like that's kind of the approach that I'm going to take.
Yeah, I love your line. You can't be too descriptive. Nobody's ever said, boy, that broadcaster was too descriptive. That's a good thought.
Yeah, really good, really good thought. If you're just joining us, Chris Kerber, of course, the radio and TV voice of the St. Louis Blues as well. Those who were watching some of these preseason games, what did you see that you liked about this year's Blues, and what might be different when we get to the official start of the season on Thursday?
Well, listen, Jill, here's the one thing that I'll tell everybody, and this is when you're around a team on a regular basis, this is what you learn to get excited about. The players, and Doug Armstrong kind of says this, when you get to a trade deadline, he says, no, the players are going to dictate whether or not we make a move or don't, that kind of thing. Truthfully, the players are the ones that kind of get you the feel of it. I'll take you real quickly back to the 2019 run after the hand pass game in the third round against San Jose, right? The Blues lose that tough overtime game, all heck's breaking loose. I saw Pat Maroon in the locker room the other day. And Pat Maroon, I go, how are you, big guy? And Pat Maroon says, no worries, man, we got this. I walked out, did an interview on a San Jose radio station. They said, well, that one's got to be devastating. And I said, honest to goodness, I said in that radio, I go, guys, San Jose doesn't know what's coming at them in this next game. And then the Blues literally broke a franchise over the next 3 games, right? I mean, San Jose has not been back to the playoffs since, and they've been in shambles ever since that series. I say that because when I talk to Jake Neighbors, Braden Shen, Jordan Bennington, all those, there is a focus and expectation, an approach that Jim Montgomery got settled into this group by the end of last season. There's a hunger to them that honestly I believe it's the same kind of feeling that I had when that 2019 team started to turn things around and in that 1920 season. So what's happened is, in a very short while, Jim Montgomery has got this team to take itself over, and the room runs the team. And when you do that's when you get to be really kind of good. And so I think that's the level of excitement that I've learned from this team throughout training camp.
Tell our listening audience something about Jim Montgomery that maybe we don't know, or something you've just observed. I mean, obviously, we knew him from his first stint here, also as a player, but now you're around him as much as any media member. The positivity thing jumps out, but is there a story? Because he's off the charts in terms of his personality.
Much like Craig Berube was he's unflappable, right? And what you guys are seeing when he stands in front of the media and does his press conferences, and what the fans see, that is honestly, that's what we see, whether it's on the plane, it's in a lobby of a hotel in between road games. You know, there was a day in New York last year, and we killed it, and I was actually talking to him, and he's, what'd you do? I said, well, my daughter was in town. I said, well, we went over to the Holocaust Museum, which is in New York, by the way, is spectacular. And if you haven't been to it, I mean, it's a moving exhibit. And he said, wow. He goes, I got to look at doing some things like that, on some of the road. Let me know if you guys go again. So there are things like that. Like there's just a human element to him, Frank. And I tell you, you can get around coaches where their whole world is like just the sport and all that, and they just don't have that human connection ability. And I don't think that if you have it, you can be successful. And Jim Montgomery absolutely has the human element aspect of his role down pat. It's fantastic.
All right, young man, we appreciate your time, and we're looking forward to the broadcast on Thursday night. The pep rally, too, also during the day?
Yeah, 3 o'clock, the pep rally at Union Station. Joe Vitale and I will get down there on stage. We typically have a player or two, maybe Braden Shen, join us. Live entertainment. And then they get that done by 5, so you have plenty of time to walk down, get into the arena when the gates open, enjoy the Bud Light happy hour there in the Anheuser-Busch Beer Garden, and then in your seats early for the home opening celebration.
We'll be pulling for you. Thanks so much for your time. We'll talk soon.
Okay. Thanks, Frank. Thanks, Jill. Have a great week.
All right. The television and the radio voice of the St. Louis Blues, Chris Kerber, joining us on the Frank and Jill Show on the Big 550 KTRS.
Well, guys, it's coming. I just saw the temperatures. We're going to be in the 40s and 50s overnight in the next, we get a little bit of a cold front coming through. Daytime temperatures in the 70s are going to feel like heaven, but that means that some of you are going to need to be turning on your heaters. Premier Heating and Cooling reminds you it's a good time to change those filters if you haven't done it for a while. And of course, before you turn on your furnace, the best case scenario is you've already had that clean and check where a professional comes out and takes a look at your furnace to make sure it's safe. No bird's nest got built in the flue or anything else that can cause issues or make your furnace run at less than peak efficiency, and or again, you want to make sure it's running safely. Premier Heating and Cooling right now. Today it's a Monday. It's a great day to check things off your to-do list. Put this on your to-do list to call them to set up that appointment for your fall clean and check of your furnace before we get those really cold temperatures where we're going to be running our furnaces nonstop. PremierHeatingCooling.net, 636-916-1122.
It's Julie Buck here to tell you that the patio is open at Bishop's Post right next to Chesterfield Mall. Get your reservations in now and go to Bishop's Post. You will love it. Tell them Julie Buck sent you, bishopspost.com.
Some of my fondest memories as a kid is heading down to the hardware store. You had to pick up a couple of nails, a couple of screws, maybe a gallon of paint, whatever it may be, right? It was your friendly neighborhood hardware store. Well, those don't exist anymore in St. Louis, except for Schnarr's Hardware. They have 2 locations in Webster Groves and in Clayton Road in Ladue. Schnarr's Hardware is that place where you go in and you can get that bucket of paint, you can get a couple screws. The advice is always free. And the one thing about Schnarr's Hardware that every single family hardware store used to have, and that is the smell. It smells like a hardware store. It's got the selection. I don't know how they do it. It's a small store, but they got everything you ever need. They got the paint. They got paint matching. They've got big green eggs. They've got screws and nails and everything a hardware store should have. Schnarr's Hardware, 2 locations, 1 great hardware store. Schnarr's Hardware, we'll see you there.
Your biggest choice in home restoration is who do you trust with your home, your most valued asset. Few can match Banner Construction's experience and dedication to excellence. Banner is an elite preferred James Hardy contractor and Pella Window specialist. Restoration is a one-time opportunity to have Banner's design team show you architectural options to make your home the neighborhood showcase. Call for a free consultation, 314-569-1050. And have a banner day.
Join the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra for Chuck Berry's birthday bash. Celebrate the father of rock and roll with hits like Johnny B. Good and Roll Over Beethoven, performed live by the SLSO and band members from the Rolling Stones, Living Color, and The Pretenders. October 17th and 18th at Powell Hall at the Jack C. Taylor Music Center. Tickets at slso.org.
When you want to send flowers to a loved one for a birthday, anniversary, or that special occasion, call your friends at Walter Knoll Florist. Walter Knoll is family-owned and operated and offers custom designs by expert designers. A huge inventory and selection that only the largest florist can offer, with quality and care that no grocery store florist can meet. They have several locations in the St. Louis metro area to serve you. Order online today at WKF.com. That's WKF.com. Walter Knoll Florist, your personal florist since 1883.
A message from the master. If you are looking for that one-of-a-kind gift this year, come on in to Newsetter's Fine Jewelers. Let Richard draw your future present for somebody you love. This special engraving lasts a lifetime. At the corner of Big Ben and Doherty Ferry or at wowdiamonds.com.
St. Louis is home to more than 80,000 University of Missouri, St. Louis alumni, where they drive the region's economy and contribute to its social and cultural well-being. At UMSOL, more is what moves us. Find your more at more.umsl.edu.
I'm Bob Hardcastle. Listen to my Money Talk radio program every Sunday morning from 8 to 9 a.m. on the Big 550, where we discuss your money in an easy-to-understand manner. We have interesting guests, chat about money. We try to help you feel more comfortable with your money by talking about the investment market. Join me. I'm Bob Hardcastle.
Money Talk, Sunday morning at 8 on the Big 550 KTRS.
Want a song?
Surround my mind like the sun on the radio.
Want a quote? It's the song and quote of the day on the Frank and Jill Show. Right here on the Big 550 KTRS.
Do you pay much attention to whether we're going to have a full moon or keeping track of when the full moon is?
I don't think so. No,
I don't either. I don't really, but I have a friend who teaches kindergarten. She says she does because she can always tell when the kids are acting a little
Do we
off
have
the
one
wall.
coming up? Is
we
that
have
happening?
one today.
Tonight. All right.
Tonight. And so I just happened to notice that. It's not something that I traditionally do track or a full moon. And so the song of the day, since it is that time of year when those fall harvest moons can be particularly beautiful, we thought we'd start the week a little bit with a song that commemorates that. Of course, do you think it's most distinguishable voice or one of the most distinguishable voices in music history?
I like the song. And can we play a little more of it, actually? That is such a... Connor, you got any more of that? That is... It's just good stuff.
It is, of course. I'm trying to look to remember what year that Neil Young song was. It was kind of post the Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young years, 1992.
Like 92? I thought it was 96. Yeah.
It said at least the album by Neil Young was released in 1992, but maybe the song came out. Maybe the song was popular a little later, but yeah, it's just a lovely kind of love song, isn't it?
It is. It's great.
Yep, I really like that one as well. Quote of the day, Frank. You did finish Black Rabbit, correct?
Oh yeah.
What'd you think of how it ended?
I kind of liked it. Yeah, kind of a nice ending for Jude Law, not quite as nice for our friend Jason Bateman, but yeah, I thought it was realistic. Yeah.
I haven't gotten
Where are
to
you
the
now? What
end of
number?
it. I think I want to say we're moving toward halfway through. I've kind of been, stretching it out. John probably would have watched it more back to back as well. Interesting interview with him, and he talked about
Bateman or Law?
Bateman with Jason Bateman about kind of looking at his career and how he's grown as an actor and what kind of actors he looks at and says he wants to be like them as well. This is what he had to say about that. Yeah, and I think
complete naturalism. I've never
where
heard that phrase. That's
where
cool.
you kind of have you're not like, wow, he's really turned into that would be method acting, right? So when you think of Daniel Day-Lewis, Ed Norton, I think of them as being the actors that you just lose. You forget who they are as actors, and they become the
Ed
character.
Norton for sure. Gosh, Primal Fear.
Almost everything I think that he does a very good job at that. Whereas the Harrison Ford, traditionally it's like he's the same guy pretty much any role that he plays, but it's a really appealing person that he plays, and so you sort of like whatever role he's in, but it's a pretty similar affect generally.
Yeah, that they don't really change. Does Stallone really change? I mean,
well, he barely acts too, is the thing.
I'll tell you what.
The gauntlet has been
in
thrown,
Copland,
ladies and gentlemen.
He was brilliant. With De
It's
Niro.
like it's Rocky and Copland are the only Stallone acting.
Yeah, I mean you're criticizing a guy who's had two of the greatest movie series in the history of movie making with,
You're directing that toward me, not toward the person who actually said it.
What is the second one? What is the second greatest?
You really don't know?
You got Rocky and you got...
there's a thing called First Blood.
Oh, well, I don't know if I'd call that one of the greatest series of all time, the Rambo movies.
Well, in terms of like revenue made,
I mean, maybe at the time. I don't think now that would be in the top
Wait,
five.
can you guys? I need to get some popcorn. I want to watch this.
I don't know if anybody can say. Well, Schwarzenegger could, in terms of like revenue generated from Hollywood. I mean, what you're an actor.
I'm gonna have to pull up the list. We're gonna have to pull up the list.
I guarantee that there will be
fact, they
frantic
actually
typing
did.
happening over the next break.
The Rambo franchise, the First Blood, drew approximately 125 million, which is pretty good. But then the franchise, when they made so many of them, was so unbelievable. Franchise money made, and that would be. Oh, I just keep getting the first one.
Well, we'll do some digging. We'll find the numbers.
In fact, one of the things when they did the Schwarzenegger or the Stallone documentary, they talked about who wants to become number one of all time. And in terms of like stunts and action, like if Arnold said if Stallone killed 150, I had to kill 200 or something like that. So they had this incredible rivalry too.
Would you like to have a guess at the top grossing actor of all time? I'll give you a hint. A lot of it features all these Marvel movies, so it's one of those. But would you like to take a guess, Frank? You're typing. I feel like you're looking this
No,
up.
I'm not. I'm looking at Stallone stuff. Go ahead.
It's Scarlett Johansson is been in the highest grossing
For a single movie?
No, for total all movies.
I saw one stat where she made like $65 million in one movie.
Okay, so I guess my question about that, Connor, and not
okay,
to,
well, real quickly,
yeah.
I hate to interrupt. Stallone movies, $864 million worldwide.
Scarlett Johansson, 15.1 billion. So just a little bit behind.
But can you? But I guess my question.
Well, then Stallone had a terrible career if he's only like seventh all time.
I didn't say that.
The guy just made $864 million, and you're thinking,
I didn't say that, but I don't think he's.
I'll stick by my original theory. My original thought is Stallone and Schwarzenegger, in terms of money made, absolutely incredible Hollywood careers.
Okay, and
no
I
one can
also
deny
I
it.
do have a math question. I'm going to nerd out here, but were those dollars evened out to? So yes, $15 billion in 2025 dollars.
I mean, even if you smooth it out a little bit, it's not like Stallone was from the 30s.
No, but if it's a big difference if it was even 30 years ago. Some of those dollars, I think
it's a little bit. Even if you double it, it's still 1.6 billion versus 15. So.
Yeah. Okay, you're right. So but I did want to at least check out the math on that.
So are Schwarzenegger and Stallone 1 and 2 in terms of male actors?
No. In fact, they're not even in the top 10. Number 2, Sam Jackson, Robert Downey Jr., Chris Pratt, Tom Cruise, Chris Evans, Vin Diesel, Chris Hemsworth, Bradley Cooper. They're all in the 10+ billion range.
But I'll go by what you said since they haven't made movies in so long ago.
Oh, this is great. You don't need to work out this morning, Frank, because your blood pressure just went up high enough. Your heart rate is having.
Criticize Stallone in front of me is going to have to take some blows to the body.
I got my popcorn out and watched you guys, and it's one of my favorite things to have happen for sure. So, by the way, somebody asked me the other day, who's one of our longtime listeners, and I love bumping into them in the wild. Did you become a fan of Tulsa King because you're such a big Stallone fan?
Well, I'll say this. I think it's okay. I mean, it's watchable. I don't think it's like unbelievable, but yeah, it's Stallone, so I watch him. By the way, on the subject of Black Rabbit, my new favorite thing is Task. Okay, so I had a friend say because he's
the
heard
show Task.
Yeah,
to update people with,
Mark Ruffalo, which is on HBO.
Ruffalo.
But anyway, I told them about Black Rabbit, and they watched 30 minutes of it, and they saw Jason Bateman run over a guy in his car twice. I turned it off. I can't take it. And then I said, well, why don't you try Task? And he says, well, the other one was just too dark. What about this one? I said, well, it's equally as dark. So both of the series that I absolutely love right now are dark and can get your blood boiling. Like, you can't watch it at night, right?
I don't prefer to watch it at night, but you know what? I totally respect that because I'll go through modes where that stuff doesn't seem to get to me at all. I've watched some really dark stuff, and Department Q, which was the
which I have not watched.
Scottish. It was decidedly dark and
intense
and intense. And
okay, I'm gonna
did you ever watch Broadchurch?
Oh, yeah.
I loved that, and
Yeah.
it was a terrible premise, right? Just from the get-go, it was really tough. So it's not that I universally avoid it. There's just certain times when I'm more in the mood, I guess is the best way to say it for that, and other times when I prefer watching other stuff. I think that's kind of the more accurate way to, I'm fickle, I guess is what you've just pointed out, and many people would agree.
Well, you're actually more human. You don't want to watch dark, intense things late at night. That's what most people feel.
Yeah, or at least I can't do it while I'm at certain times of life. But one thing that I always can do is have a good conversation with Ryan Raphael. You guys love it too. We always get great feedback when he's here in the studio with us. We get great feedback when listeners tell us, I finally did it. I've been listening to talk about Ryan Raphael. We were close enough to that 65 retirement age if you're already beyond 65, and we were getting ready to go on Medicare, and we set up that appointment. Of course, we're getting into that important time of year. Mid-October until early December is the Medicare open enrollment, which means now is the time to call and set up that appointment with Ryan Raphael. He says it's going to be his busiest ever, and he loves it. No complaints from him whatsoever because he gets to help. He knows this year more people than ever because so many of our listeners have said, we love Ryan Raphael, and even those of you who are nowhere near that age 65, you recommend him all the time because you love listening to his straight talk on Medicare, and you love how kind he is about answering questions. No question, no issue is too simple or too complicated for him. He's always happy to help you. Give him a call, 314-368-6808, or visit MedicareManSTL.com. For the right plan, call the Medicare Man.
I'm Farmer Dave, and here's my good friend and owner of MasterCars Inc., Alex Rosenberger, with today's hot MasterCars Inc. deals.
Hey, thanks, Farmer Dave. This is our favorite motoring season. Great top-down weather or getting the bike out. The temps are perfect. Of course, we can fix you up with one if you're in need. Attractive financing options available with no payments until 2026. Keep that in mind. Now, if you have one and don't need it, we can help there too. We're always looking for super clean, low-mile, pristine Corvettes, muscle cars, classic cars, luxury cars, you name it. Motorcycles too, especially Ducatis and Harleys. We'll even buy entire collections. Hop on our site, submit what you've got, and we'll get you an offer. Easy as that.
So rev that motor and point your car in the direction of Mastercars Inc. and buy or sell today. 4100 Namioki Road in Granite City, or visit MastercarsInc.com to get more details. That's MastercarsInc.com.
Everyone's talking about these weight loss drugs, and it's a good thing we've got Dr. Joe Molesky with us, a St. Louis native and board-certified primary care physician. Dr. Joe, it can get very confusing, but the one thing we need to know is GLP-1, right? That's the magic cure.
The magic cure is these weight loss shots. They're injected once weekly. They're not like the old medications that you've seen 20, 30 years ago. These medications actually work. They're injected once weekly, and patients see within the first 90 days 10 to 15 pounds down. It simply works, and that's why I recommend it to all of my patients. You simply go online, book an appointment, you fill out a health questionnaire form, you get an appointment on our schedule. It's all telemedicine based. It's all done from your home, and then you meet with me or one of my nurse practitioners, and then after the 10, 15-minute consult, the medication is delivered right to your door discreetly, and you get started right now on your weight loss journey.
And you want to start to lose weight? None better than to call STLMedWeightLoss.com and ask Dr. Joe. STLMedWeightLoss.com.
Health insurance can feel complicated, but Medica health plans are different. See, we're nonprofit, which means people first, not shareholders. And we're right here in St. Louis with affordable plans for local care you trust. Your doctors, your hospitals, to help you feel your best. With Medica, your health coverage can feel a bit simpler. And now, we're here for you. Medica Health Plans. You're not just covered, you're cared for.
Truck drivers, the holiday rush is here. Take advantage by becoming a Schneider driver. By driving for one of America's busiest carriers, you'll stay busy during the holiday season and throughout the new year. Plus, as a Schneider driver, you'll have access to top quality driver support and newer equipment spec'd with the latest safety and comfort features that drivers want. Don't wait. Get a jump on 2026 by exploring jobs in your area today at SchneiderJobs.com. That's SchneiderJobs.com.
Hey, it's Heidi Glaus, and I want to remind you to tune in to the Heidi Glaus Show with Bob Ramsey and Josh Gilbert weekdays from 3 to 6. You don't want to miss all the fun. Plus, twice a month, we're joined by Dr. Ravi Johar, the Chief Medical Officer for United Healthcare. Dr. Johar and United Healthcare will keep us informed and educated about everything happening in the healthcare system, plus important facts to keep us healthy. United Healthcare and the Heidi Glaus Show on the Big 550 KTRS.
Scott, remember when the Queen of Carpet and the Princess of Pile were flying around the arch selling flooring?
Andrea, that was the Queen of Carpet and the Princess of Tile.
Oh, that's right. But we don't need shtick here at Best Buy Flooring.
That's right, because our in-stock selection of carpet, carpet tile, sheet vinyl, laminate, hardwood, luxury vinyl plank, and luxury vinyl tile are already at low, low prices.
Come see us at our 3 area locations, North County, South County, and Metro East. Open 7 days a week.
Plus, free financing on approved credit. Best flooring, best selection, Best Buy Flooring.
Traveling around and want to take the Big 550 with you?
I just got back from the Caribbean. Every morning I'd get up, go for a walk on the top deck of the ship, listening to KTRS on the app.
Download the KTRS mobile app today and see how easy it is to listen.
What a great thing that is.
Anywhere, worldwide.
The KTRS app is great, and I really enjoyed it.
The Big 550, keeping you informed from anywhere. Depend on it.
Boy, let that play a little bit.
Really good, Neil Young. So are you a Neil Young fan?
Well, the 2 songs we played, they're awesome.
And what about were you Crosby, Stills,
Yeah,
Nash and
sure.
Young? Yeah, I was 8.5 months pregnant with our second daughter, and it just so happened that John and I will sometimes, surprise each other at this birthday anniversary week where everything comes together with concerts. And I had gotten him Springsteen tickets, and he had gotten tickets to Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. And they just happened to be within like the same week or 10 days, and I was extremely pregnant. So I went to concerts at the right before we had our youngest daughter at both of those concerts, and I always tell her she had good exposure to some good solid rock legends right before she came into the world.
Someone with an interesting point. Stallone is cool in his movies, but Scarlett looks darn hot in a skin-tight dress.
Oh, what an interesting point that you chose out of all of the texts that came in there.
Connor the Contrarian, at it again, someone texted in. Connor, you're a hit on the
Well,
text lines
you know,
today.
I just someone's got to check your
Okay.
unfettered
Well, here it is.
Stallone love.
Yeah, here's the text. I just Googled this. I said, the best multiple franchise actor or actress in history. Who pops up first? Stallone.
Is it Stallone?
Schwarzenegger pops up next. Here's another one. I just typed in another one. Best. How did I phrase that?
Best Italian actor with a #1 hit in 1976.
Stallone has enjoyed a lengthy career in Hollywood.
It feels like you're kind of leading on these searches a little bit.
Well, anything to win an argument.
You, of course.
Oh, you guys, that's really.
How many Rambos did they make? I remember 2 or 3, right? Did they make 4, 5?
I think they made more, yeah. His highest 10 grossing films. It wasn't Rocky 1, by the way, which was one that won the Academy Award. Remember that?
Right.
He won that movie won the Academy Award, and he did it all himself. Rocky 2, God, I can't believe that made $200 million, and that even wasn't unbelievable. The original Rocky, this is going too slow for me, but.
Okay, so I do have a question because obviously we were talking earlier about kind of the stage of life you were in when the original Rocky came out in 1976. Teenage years blew you away. Did you, so then when Rambo, which is of course very Rocky, he's playing the same character,
Yeah.
and we're watching his life progress and it's sports related. And I totally get why that would be, really appealing to you. When he crossed over into the Rambo character and then kept playing that over and over again, were you as
That was
interested?
fine. The original First Blood was a good movie, and I wasn't into all of them. But not to get too into my soul here, but the original Rocky did, in a sense, shape my life because it just showed about hard work and fighting through all the negativity and just believing in yourself and all that stuff. I wore a bandana, a red bandana in my sock every game of my senior year. And all of my teammates, if they're listening, there's probably nobody, but they can attest to that. And before every game, I went to the Smet weight room right before we'd go up, and I would listen to the theme. Before I left my house at night, I would watch the training scene. And I did that in my entire life. When I got my job at Channel 5 in 1993, I was in Lexington, Kentucky. Mike Bush called. It was a cold, March night, and he said, "You got the job." I remember getting on my headphones and listening to the theme from Rocky and running for 5 miles in the cold because I was so pumped up. Rocky was my life. It really was. Now, it gave a lot of middle-aged Italian men some false courage when they'd get drunk and get in fights. It was a bad thing for a lot of Italians. But if you're young and you're playing high school and college, it was big.
Okay, so was that a filter for you? If you're interested in a young lady and you're getting ready to go out on a date and she says something like, "I hate Rocky," or "I'll never watch a Rocky movie," were you done? Or is Monique as big of a fan as you? Was that one of those things that she needed? That was in order to get to the next level, it was needed?
Well, she loved Stallone too. And we like him later in life. He seems to be a agreeable, nice, positive thinking guy. So. But yeah, that would have been a deal breaker if somebody said something negative. Yeah. I remember Monique's sister had a Rocky poster in her room, Sandra. It was kind of cool. What
were you doing in Sandra's room?
Well, I would visit the house and, hanging out, watching TV or something. But I tell you, one time I had this is too much information, but I had a really terrible game my senior year. It was really bad. And my mom felt so bad for me. She went to Omni Sports and she bought me a speed bag. So for 5 years of my life, I had a speed bag in my house. I would hit it. And
That was a good way for you to get some emotion out?
yeah, and work on hand-eye coordination. That's a tough thing to do.
Do people still do that though? That was you're so
Speed
right
bags were
though
good.
that I had a lot of friends in high school or
Gyms.
older brothers, and that was kind of a and in movie scenes, that was when
Yeah.
somebody's like
Who could ever
gearing
forget
up.
the training scenes and that music in the background and hitting it with great video and stuff? Oh my God, that was awesome.
Yeah, I remember trying it once at one of those. Remember when boxing gyms were big? You'd go to
Yeah.
those boxing classes,
And women
kickboxing
did a
classes,
lot of that, and still do, I think.
and they had one, and I started trying to punch it in. It was terrible. It was perhaps one of the least athletic things I've ever done in my life. I was really, really bad at it, and I never tried it again. So
Yeah,
I
that's
think
a tough thing to do, the speed bag. And then the heavy bags, all it does is just hurt your wrist when you hit it. I stopped that.
I was kind of trying to, I thought I could slide. There's a heavy one at the gym where I do exercise. And I was trying to, I thought it was like sliding where I could move it out of my way. And instead, I just pushed it, and so it swung out and then came back and hit me. I did not fall down, but I came pretty close to it.
So you lost to the heavy bag.
I
You
lost to the heavy
fight
bag.
to a
I didn't
yeah.
understand. And the thing is, when I'm in my late 50s, this poor guy in there is in his early 20s. I'm sure I'm his mom's age or older. So he just watches this lady get, completely pummeled by the heavy bag. He comes running over, ma'am, are you okay? And I was like, yes, the only thing that's hurt is my pride. But it was embarrassing. I'm not going to lie.
Knocked over by the heavy bag. All right.
Yeah, it was not I mean, it was one of those like think Laurel and Hardy whoop 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 or the Three Stooges kind of fall where I didn't actually fall, but I kind of
stumbled around for a little bit and then got back on your feet.
Yeah, just the kind of almost fall that makes you look the least coordinated you can possibly look and scares young men because they think some old lady that their mom's age is actually going to bite it at the gym, and that's not part of their workout plan for sure. Hey, speaking of plans, we know you guys, some of you are what in the world of coaching or psychology, somebody would say might have avoidant tendencies, which simply means when things get hard or complicated or overwhelming, you'd rather think about other stuff and not think about that thing. And retirement is one of those subjects that unfortunately causes a lot of folks, it just means you're a human being, to be somewhat avoidant. I'll get to it later. I'll talk with somebody about it later. I should have already saved more by now. It's too late. Or I've saved a bunch. I've got it in there. I don't want to think about it anymore. It's really one of those subjects that 99.9% of people, when they sit down and have that meeting with Jeff Zufall and his team at Capital Advisory Group, they're able to say, wow, I should have done this earlier. I feel so much better. We have a strategy. We have a plan. We have an idea. We have an understanding. And we're going to get where we want to go with our retirement plan. Or you're already retired. You're dealing maybe with a plan that somebody advised you on 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago, and you haven't updated what your plan is with your strategy because you're not working with somebody and really thinking strategically about stuff like, for instance, your taxes and making sure you're not overpaying on your taxes, which, as you've heard us say many, many times, is the specialty of what Jeff and his team bring to it. Is that Jeff being a senior tax strategist, wealth advisor, and somebody who understands taxes better than most other people in his industry. Capital Advisory, grp.com, 636-394-5524.
Why do the national tax resolution firms need the tiny fine print at the bottom of all their TV ads? Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. You don't hear fast-talking disclaimers in our ads because the claims we make are 100% transparent. The Lance Story Law Firm primarily focuses on one thing, IRS problems, and we're regulated by the Bar Association, and we have a AAA rating with the Better Business Bureau. IRS issues are serious legal issues. The Lance Story Law Firm has helped thousands of clients navigate the best resolution plans, and we tell you up front exactly how much it'll cost. Tax resolution law is all we do. So before you send money to some out-of-town, high-pressure salesperson, give us a call at the Land Story Law Firm, located right here in St. Louis. Call today to schedule your free consultation with me, 314-260-6120, or visit lance.drurylaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Stop feeling embarrassed about thinning hair and start looking and feeling your best with Hair Grow by New Nordic. Available online at Amazon, Walmart.com, and NewNordicUSA.com, or at your local CVS.
You might know Graber for cable and connectivity.
But there's one more thing you should know us for that can help optimize your project's total value, like our comprehensive electronic solutions for security, AV, wireless, and networking, or our specialized job site services, like material staging and kitting, or maybe our logistics specialist, who can help you identify efficiencies and ensure just-in-time delivery. So consider what one more thing you may need to optimize your bottom line and get to know us for that. Yep, Gray Bar does that.
Look at our alums, the contributions that they have made throughout industries in the St. Louis region.
Terry Freerks, a graduate of the University of Missouri, St. Louis.
UMSL is embedded in the fabric of the St. Louis community. We're hands-on, and when our students graduate, they are definitely career ready, but maybe more importantly, they're career confident.
More is what moves us. Find your more at more.umsl.edu.
Wake up, it's a brand new day. Getting your weekday started the St. Louis way. It's the McGraw Show.
Carl, the intern. Tuesday on the McGraw Show, we're trying to get a hold of a cattle farmer to tell us what's going on with beef prices and why the prices are so high at the store right now.
McGraw Millhaven, Rose Dalton, and Carl the intern. Weekday morning, 6 to 10.
Right here on your hometown station, the Big 550, KTRS.
Most people think if I name my husband as beneficiary, everything's going to be okay, and that's not necessarily true.
I'm Scott Garcia with Premier Estate and Income Planning.
What am I doing taking care of people after somebody has passed and all the mess that comes with that?
And I'm Jennifer Cermak, Chief Counsel and Estate Planning Attorney of Premier Estate and Income Planning.
No longer is the attorney the gatekeeper to your lives.
Let us show you how to protect your assets, avoid probate, and retire with confidence.
Having an estate plan could be the most important document you could ever have.
The Premier Income and Estate Planning Show. This Saturday at 4 and this Sunday morning at 7 on the Big 550 KTRS.
So we are just sitting here with our mouths watering, talking about this week's weekly special, of course, brought to us by our friends at Kuna. Frank, you lined up somebody good.
Yeah. We're excited because Il Balago, which is my brother's favorite Italian restaurant and my daughter's, Olive Street Road in Creve Coeur, run by Frank and Carmen Gabrielle. They are the sons of Giovanni, who had a great run as a restaurateur also. And the name of the restaurant is Il Balago. They are a great Kuna customer. They are two brothers that go at it really hard, work their tails off, and put on an incredible, food display every time you go there. It's just a great place. So we're excited. They will be here on Thursday in studio.
And what's coming up tonight on the press box?
Tonight, we are going to talk with cousin Shane, who is he's become a big cult following in the SEC, the southeast part of the country. He knows SEC football like there's no tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Doesn't really have a journalism background, but his YouTube thing has exploded. His podcast has exploded. And he really, really likes Mizzou football, and he thinks they got a chance to beat Alabama. So we'll get some insight on that game. We're also going to talk with Jeff Gordon from the Post-Dispatch, who has just retired after 40 distinguished years as a sports writer. So that's what's coming up on the Control Option.
And I don't read sports columns every day like you do, but where would you say he lines up in terms of sports writers in those that you've seen through your career?
Well, here's what I'll say is he knows more about more things in sports than anybody I've ever been around.
Wow.
We did a talk show together for a long time. And, hey, Jeff, can you give me a little bit on the Blues fourth-line player? Jeff, can you tell me about this prospect in Memphis for the Cardinals? What about the Rams' third defenseman? He just had a little bit of knowledge. Well, not a little bit, but he had knowledge about so many different topics. And really a good-natured guy who just had a wonderful career, and he's going out in style.
That would be handy in a co-host. You must really miss that, to have a co-host that actually knows something about something that what they were talking about.
Those that's not what I meant. But he knew a lot about a lot of things. Look at this nice text. We can't avoid this one. Jill, you're gorgeous, so fit, and climbed the mountain. I'm sure that young man didn't think you were old and admired you. I'm 67, and you inspire me. Loyal Men B-Day? What does that mean? Friday listener. Linda N. What is Loyal Men B-Day?
I don't know. Okay. Maybe it was a voice to text.
Oh, yeah.
That is one of the fun things.
About
By the way,
that?
Linda, that was way, way, way too nice and far more than I deserved. And you would be so embarrassed if I read that out loud if somebody texted something like that about you, Frank. It was very kind. Very, very much appreciated. Hey, we have a great show coming up tomorrow as well. Joe Holloman, he's got a lot of stuff that is happening with our local politicians, keeping track of what they're doing in Washington, D.C. So you're going to want to hear. I'm very interested to hear what his thoughts are on Cori Bush officially entering the race. He's reported on some stuff happening with Josh Hawley as well. So that's going to be great. And Dr. Rick is on a tear. He's been covering all kinds of stuff, sending us all kinds of great topics. And we'll, of course, listen to you guys. We want to hear your texts as well tomorrow. So make sure you bring him in for Dr. Rick in the morning as well.
Sounds good. We have John Carney and Julie Buck coming up next on the Big 550 KTRS.
I forgot one thing. And just we had Julie on the show. She talked about it briefly because of the great. We had, of course, instead of the Hollywood opening of Soul on Fire, the incredible movie about John O'Leary, and of course we've had John O'Leary on the show as well. I really want to encourage all of you listening out there to go ahead today, tomorrow, no later than Wednesday, pre-buy your tickets for the opening weekend, which is happening on the 10th. Pre-buy those tickets. We want to prove to the world that St. Louis is a great place to make a movie, and that St. Louisans, and hopefully if you have friends around the country, encourage them to do the same thing, because I think it's really not only important for John O'Leary, who is an incredible human being who we love. We're thrilled that his story is out there. People will be better for having watched this movie, but I think it's also a great thing for us to do to support our region and our community to buy those tickets.
Buy it Friday? Is that when it
You can
opens?
buy it opens Friday, but you can buy your tickets online now. Of course, that's
Okay.
one of the great things
Yeah.
about the world we live in. Just Google buy movie tickets for Soul on Fire and go ahead and buy those tickets ahead of time, because all those, of course, the movie makers are tracking those sales, and we really want to show out and show off as St. Louisans for this movie.
All right, that'll do it for this edition of the program. We'll take a break. We'll be back in 22 hours.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe